This is Sheba and I'll be your co-host for tonight. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker Rutva, a senior technical writer with over 11 years of expertise in the IT industry. With a diverse background spanning software development, QA, and business analysis, she brings a unique ability to bridge the gap between complex technical concepts and clear user focused communication. In this session, she'll cover how to use AI to adapt a single piece of technical content for multiple audiences such as developers, managers, and end users without rewriting from scratch. She will share practical approaches for structuring source content, crafting effective prompts, and ensuring each version remains accurate, consistent, and tailored to its audience. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box and we'll make sure to address them towards the end of the session. With that, I'll hand it over to Rutva. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone, and thank you, Shiva, for introducing me and inviting me. I am pleased to be here, for the Document 360 session today. And before we begin, I would just want to ask everyone, how much of AI are you all using in your day-to-day life? So you don't have to answer through writing, but you can just send emojis and all. So, we can know that, okay, how many people are using AI already. And since our topic is, the reason for asking is because our topic today is all about AI adoption for different personas. So it is the biggest challenge, for a technical writer to know the right content to be written in the document for the right persona. So we'll begin with that. And with that, let's move ahead. So Shiva has already mentioned about me. I would give a quick introduction. So an engineer and a lawyer. So I hold dual degrees. I have also worked briefly as a business analyst, quality analyst, content strategist, and digital marketer, which gives me, the knowledge of all the background that I apply in my current work as a senior technical writer at Gantner, which is a technology solutions company. Now here at Gantner, what I do is create everything from global style guides to installation documents. However, my focus currently is about AI learning because I think it is quite important in this era. It gives us, the edge to know all about how we utilize the AI tools in our work. So I would begin now. Let's begin with the real documentation challenge that everybody fits. So here we are talking about, we must all have faced this one size fits none trap, that issue, because that is basically something that we have one feature. So when we have one features and multiple readers, because technical documentation is not just about a single persona or a single reader. So when we are talking about that, then we have to make sure that we write document in a way that the same feature is explained to different personas in their languages, which is a real challenge nowadays. If you see, people are struggling to write for different target audiences or different readers, but we have a single source of truth, which is a documentation in which we have to adapt all that. So I'm going to focus on that issue today, and we will see how multiple personas can adapt or use, with the use of AI, can write technical documents in a better way or can enhance the quality. So just for example, like a person is unable to log in is seen, differently by all 5 personas. So let me move ahead. And so let us go through personas. First of all, I keep on repeating this word. Let us understand what are these personas. So there are 5 personas, primary personas. That could be different, many more personas as per your use case or industries you are in. But primarily, if we see, then there are 5 personas. So let me define which 5 personas are there, and let's understand something about personas. So first of all, we have developers, product managers, and users, support teams, and stakeholders. These are the 5 personas. Now let us understand one by one what are these personas and how do they think. Because when we see, all of these personas, they speak different languages. So starting with developers. developers speak the language of system logic. So what they are looking for, or how they think, is in terms of syntax. It is in terms of the logic. They are thinking in terms of implementation. So developers are more focused in knowing about, the API, what does the API documentation contain? For example, they want to know the error codes, they want to know the response codes, the request codes. They want to know about how a feature is developed and what are the endpoints, of those of those particular feature that we are using. So if we talk, or if we know about the language that they understand, it really becomes essential and important for us to take that into consideration and put it in the documentation in a way they can understand. Next, we would move on to product managers. Now, product managers think in terms of capabilities, in terms of features. They are thinking about, why. They always have this question, why, and they are always thinking about the functional growth or of a feature. So they want to know that in a documentation, if there is some feature that is mentioned, they want to know that, okay, what would be the impact of this feature on the customers, right? So they want to know, when they are reading a document, they want to read about the feature giving what worth it would give to the customers, how relevant is it, for customers to use that particular feature. So it is all about the intention that they have in their head. And that is why it is important for us to understand how to write from their perspective. Another is, the third persona is end users. So this is, by the way, a really sensitive and important persona, because that's where, they are always in urgency. So it's all about, how do I fix, what do I do now? I am stuck, and what do I do to make it work? So that is always a sense of urgency that they are dealing with. So for them, it is really important to have clear step-by-step instructions from which they would just read it and they can implement it easily. They don't want to go through paragraphs and all that. So that is our persona, who always wants to look for clear instructions. Then we have support teams. So support teams are someone, who can help with the troubleshooting issues that customers face. They want to simplify that problem for the customer and give a solution. So they think in terms of troubleshooting trees, where they are always looking for this flow that we call, usually the issue, cause, and solution. So they are looking for this flow. They want to see how documentation gives them the solution that they can provide. And it is really critical for them to reduce the support ticket timings, as well as provide relevant solution to the customers, on the go. So yes, that is our persona 4, which we are also focusing on today. And the last persona is stakeholders. So when we talk about stakeholders, they are basically the executives, the decision makers. So they are more likely, interested in knowing about the ROI of a feature. They want to know about what value does the product or the feature brings, and they are more of that. They are also interested in knowing about the limitations, the integration capabilities of a feature or a product. So they are looking at the business impact, basically. So for them, it is also important that we consider them as persona and write our documents accordingly. So now, as we have understood all the personas, I would like to move with the next slide. So let's go and take an example of a feature. For example, there is a feature called login, which we all know. Now, what if the user is not able to log in? There is some login failure that they are encountering. Now, how each persona would see it or look at it, is very important for us to understand, so we can put it clearly in the documentation. Let's go to developer. So developer would, when they face this issue, what they are looking for in the documentation is the error logs. What are the API responses or the authentication codes they want to look into? So they want to know, okay, this is the issue and this is how it is, issue is happening. This is the reason. So why is it failing is what they are focusing on basically. So that is there. Then comes end user. End user just wants to know one thing. They want to know, how do I solve this? What do I do that I'm able to log in? So for them, it's quite simple. They want to either know, okay, if my caps is on, or if there is a forgot password link, or how do I do it? So that's there. Then coming to stakeholders and product managers. So stakeholders and product managers, why do I take their names in the single sentences? The reason, because they are both looking at some sort of impact. Of course, they are looking at different things, but when you see the broader picture, there is an intersection between them, and this small intersection between them is what they are looking from. It is what this feature offers, and how valuable, how do I get value from this feature. So from their perspective, it's all about operational risks involved, and it is about the priority of this feature being solved, or why it is happening. Is it something that's temporary log, or something that's temporary bug issue, or is it something hindering the daily activity of the customers, and it's a system wide issue? So that's what they want to know. Now, our fifth and last persona, support team. How would they look at it? What they want out of it is, they want to provide solution to this problem to customers. So they are looking at it as a business problem, wanting to know about the troubleshooting steps or the common scenarios in which these issues might happen. So they are looking from a perspective as, how do I solve it? How do I fix this issue? So this is an example. Now, all we have to do is put all those things in their languages, in the respective languages that they understand. So moving ahead, let's first understand the problem. What is the problem that we are facing currently? So the issue that we are facing currently is, one source. We have a one source, that is technical documents, and then there are different versions of it. So some of you may have different documents for that. Some of you might have a single document mentioning different versions, right? So what we want to mitigate is rewriting the same content again and again for different personas. For example, technical version is more relevant for the developers. So they would quickly go there and look into it, rather than they would skip the other versions. So rather than going into a simplified version, which more or less is relevant for the end users. So this is something important for us, that we stop rewriting it in every version, because most of the times it is repetitive. So we don't want to repeat all those steps again and again, and it's not intentional. We, of course, we think about different personas and write in that way, but sometimes there is single statement that makes sense in technical version, which does not make sense in simplified version, because that is something slightly different. So we mention it in a different way in simplified version, so which totally leads you to inconsistencies, and that is what we do not want. Apart from that, it is also time consuming, because a technical writer, as a technical writer, if we think about all these versions, depending on the feature or the product size, we may take days to make this document. But if we use AI, for example, if we use other tools, then we can do it within few minutes. So that is something there. And yeah, I mean, inconsistency is something, as I already mentioned, very important. Nobody wants an inaccurate technical document, because it is really thing that maybe sometimes it is a thing of danger sign for the customers who are investing in a product. So let's see how AI helps us in mitigating all these issues, and how do we get ahead of these problems. So that is why today what we are going to learn is about AI tools, how to use it. So, and what are the benefits? Let's just first see how does it help us. So one is, it helps us, as I said, we are repeating content, which means we are rewriting it. By repeating, I do not mean that we are writing the same sentences everywhere, but we are rewriting it, right? So it when we are doing it for multiple personas, AI can help us as a support system. It can help us do it can with the perspective of different personas, because sometimes what happens is we are mostly connected with the developers, we are connected with the product managers, so we can read that mind or make it, or as a technical writer, it is our like it's our responsibility to ask questions, to keep on asking the right questions to the team, to the product team. So when we do that, we surely get the answer. But think about a persona that is end user. We do not talk to them, we are not in direct talking terms with them. So of course, product manager is the link between customers and the product, so whatever they convey, definitely we know. But what if we want to know more about that? Then we simply have to put ourselves in that position. So that is what AI can help us do. And that is all also about adjusting the technical depth and all. And as I already covered about the persona thing, like how do we read that mind. So if we can use AI to set different tone and terminologies according to different personas. So that is where it is helpful. Again, consistency is one of the points that we always try to focus on, and that is very important when we are thinking of delivering a product to the customers, because documentation is part of a product itself. It's a product itself when you see in certain scenarios. So it is really important to maintain that consistency across all the versions, so we do not lose anything in between and the right message goes to the right persona. And of course, it helps us in reducing the time, the repetitive work that we are doing. So overall, if we start looking at AI as a tool that can help us do all this, then we should be able to make our documents better or clearer, I would say. So it enhances the clarity of the document. So today itself, I just read something that I would like to share that says we need to know the difference between what AI writes and the difference between a writer using AI to write something. So let's hop on to the next slide. And first of all, let's go into the details of what I said. So let's see how does it impact in a real world. So I have already shared the references for the statistics that I have put, but I would like to talk about three main things that we are looking at how the AI is impacting our work is efficiency. So talking about efficiency, it increases our time. It increases our efficiency. We have to put less efforts into it, and we can get our documentation created faster with less time. Then there is another thing is consistency. So when we talk about consistency, it really plays a huge role in improving our document the way we want to convey our message to the customer. Because if document if there is this end user version, that document says something completely different than stakeholders version, then of course the feature says the same, and we have to put a different information. But if there is something that we do not have in the feature but we still provide that, then there is lack of consistency between all those documents, all those different versions, which we do not want. Then there is clarity. So AI gives us the clarity of what to put and how do we implement it in our document. Because as I said, we are not here to discuss about mitigating technical writers and just using AI. No, we need technical writers to know how to use AI tools. And that's what we are talking about is clarity. So it gives us the clarity that how do we use this? How do we put this thing across, in the documentation? And that is also making it faster issue resolution for the support team, because when there is clarity in the document, the support team is also able to reduce their support ticket time. So let's now see how do we do it. So before I show the practical demonstration of using AI tools for different personas, let us see how do we start. So a lot of you might have a question that do we need 5 different AI agents for it, or do we need 5 different tools, AI tools for it? So I would simply say that it depends, because what we are talking about here is, and we can also have 5 different AI agents, and we can ask, train those agents as per the persona, and we can ask about providing us an output based on that persona. That is also fine. Now it depends on the use case, like what is your use case, or the product, how is your, if you are having a SaaS or enterprise product, then how huge is that product, how do you want to implement it? So it all depends on that. Then another option is using just one LLM, or I would say one tool, and we have all our persona. So we see, so we now develop our prompts in a way that we can use a single AI tool, and with different prompts, of course, as per the personas, and then the tool can give us a solution. So it is all dependent on the workflow and in what context you want to use use the AI tool for your product. And of course, if you are, say, for example, thinking of using different tools, then I would just like to mention a short, informative note here, that for example, if you are using multiple AI tools, then Claude, you can use it for structuring and documenting your user guides in a workflow that you want to. So it is quite helpful with the structure. Then when we talk about GPT, then it has more to do with the creativity and the content that we want to put. It is the length of the content, or how does it give it to us. Then Gemini, I would say, is a balance between both structure, creativity, and the length. This is from my personal experience, and I mean, you guys feel free to use whichever tool you want, but something I wanted to share from my experience, maybe I thought is helpful. So yes, it depends, and let's now we know that how we can use it. Let's move ahead. So AI prompts. Now this is the main part. So coming to the significant thing, let us now see how AI prompts can help us, write for specific persona. So which is really important, because I would give you an example. So if you write, for example, that write a documentation for the password reset feature. Now the AI tool that you are using will definitely give you an output, but the output that it gives you is quite broad. The it mentions everything, because it right now it does not know that from which perspective are you asking. So it will give you some information, it will miss on some information, and it will definitely write in a broader perspective. So that is something when you don't want, and when you want to write for the personas, you avoid doing with the AI tools, right? So that's important to know, that we use the AI tool with the right prompts. So what do we have to mention in the right prompt? When I say right prompt, we have to define in the prompt, okay, we are writing for this persona, then what is the goal of that persona? So if we are writing for the end users, then we have to mention, okay, I'm writing for the end user, I want you to give me an output based on the input I have given. For the goal that I want you to put step-by-step simple instructions, because that is our goal to get out of it. Then we have to also mention about the tone that persona needs to know or understand. Then also it is important to mention about the format, because every version will have a different format. Like I said, support team will have the format called issue, cause, and solution, because they are used to it, so they want to know that. And there are developers which they want to know the format of an API document, like there should be a brief about the endpoint that they are looking into, and then they want to know the response code, request code, everything. So it is really important to mention the format. Then there are constraints. So if there are any specific persona, then we also have to define that. So when we are, aligning with all those things and we provide a proper prompt, we will get a better quality documentation or information out of which we can put it in our document. So, and also one thing, since we are talking about the technical document, one thing to avoid is the marketing language, because none of them wants to, read a document that is having marketing language, and that itself says that the documentation is not of, not as per the quality that we want. So let's begin with personas now. First persona is developer. So developers are looking for, as I already mentioned, that they are looking for, solution. They are not looking for a problem in a way that end user would look, in the form of solution. They are looking it as in the form of system logic, which means API codes. They are looking in form of the integration steps. They want to know about the code snippets. So basically, what they want out of it is accuracy of the technical content in the language that they understand. And when we understand their pain points, that they do not want to know, okay, what does this feature do, or how does it, work in a certain way. They want to know, how do I implement it? So they are focusing more on the implementation part of a certain feature. And I would also like to mention that when we look at customer's point of view, so there could be, customers who would consider their lead developer as someone who is in the, first line of the pre-sales. So a lot of times they may do this, that, they would just give the API document of the product and ask them to review it, and then the developer gives a go ahead, or maybe have a, say in it. So if the document itself is not clear, or it is having some discrepancies, then the developer would say, or that, hey, let's not invest in this product because I do not see that it is a promising feature or something. So most of the times for developers on the customer side, in the pre-sales phase, the document itself is the product for them. So it may be the deciding factor. So that's why it is important to translate the feature documentation into a developer grade specifications, where we can also write a little bit of brief about the feature and give some examples. So like I said, so this is just a prompt example. I would quickly like to say that we have, so for example, we are just taking this example of password reset not working throughout our documentation now, throughout our webinar session now. So let's see how developer prompt can be written. So this is just a simple example. We can say, create a developer focused technical document for the password reset workflow, including API flow, validation checks, request response handling, failure points, error codes, and troubleshooting steps. So here what we are doing is we are just clarifying our needs. We are just clarifying in what way we want and what is for which persona we want. So the outcome itself, would be in a way that is pretty much clear, and it will have all the validation rules, the logs and system behavior. So in case you want, a developer to look at it through that window, then, they know at least that what they are looking into a document, they are getting it. So this is a quick run through of, how I gave the same prompt, and what information does it give. Of course, this is too generic, so it would give us a generic output currently. And if if it's not too confidential, you want to put your use case over there, then it can give you the result as per that. So this is something, it's a basic example which you can also try with your documents. Then coming on to the second persona, product managers. So product managers are looking for the business value that they get out of a product, right? They want to focus on the decision they can make, and that always comes from clarity of the documentation, the clarity of the information that we as a technical writer put across, because we are basically the translators, between the product and readers. So if we understand the product properly, and if we give that input to AI tools, then the AI will also, because see, AI does not know product. They don't know what our products do. And that's why it is important to have, technical writers or a person who knows how to work with the AI tools for documentation. So we as technical writers would know the product, give some of the details, and then ask to focus mainly on the scope of the feature, or what is the metrics that is there for the adoption of that product. So this, now we are talking in terms of a product manager, because they are mostly focused on why and what would I get, what would I get out of it, or what is the customer getting out of it. So it is basically, about knowing exactly the pain point of a product manager and then translating that in our documents. So what role AI plays here is, when we give the relevant prompt, then it extracts the value propositions and summaries from the technical documents and give us the details. Let us have a look into it. So we can give prompt something like, create a product manager focused document for the password reset flow, explaining customer impact, support dependency, UX issues, business risks, and feature improvement opportunities. Only those details which must be mentioned in the product user guide. So now why you might have seen that I have additionally added only those details which must be mentioned in the product user guide. Why am I writing this here? Because it does not know that, for example, product managers, they don't want to know about how does this certain API or endpoint work, or this ticket is broken, why is it and working, like this endpoint is broken and why is it broken or something. They are focusing basically on the product. So it is really important for us to mention. So that's how it varies from the persona of developers to product managers. So the output in we can get out of this is, we will get the summary of the impact of a product, or a feature when it is delivered to the customer. So these are the pain points that, when we know the pain points and what to extract out of it, then AI can play a huge role in giving us the outcome in that way. So this is again the same prompt I'm taking, I'm putting it across the AI tool, and then what it gives me is the purpose, the customer impact. How would customer look at it? What do customers really need it? Why are we creating this feature? Or why does this, in our case, it is password reset failure, or they're not working. So why is it happening? And what are the limitation of these features? Or what if it goes to the customer, they are able to solve it or not? So that's all about it. Next, persona is end users. So end users are really important, critical, in the product or in the technical documentation, because it goes through the end users. As I already mentioned, they are always in a rush. They are looking for a solution. So just imagine someone sitting on the front desk at 10 p.m. and they are stuck with SaaS enterprise product. They can't go to the next screen, or maybe something breaks in their software. So what they want to do is resolve it as quickly as possible, because they don't want it to affect their work, so it is really important and urgent for them. So, but if they have a proper document that mentions step-by-step instructions with all that clarity and simplicity that it needs to be there in the document for them to follow the steps, then I think it is really helpful for them to quickly go through the document and find the right solution for the problem. So the pain point is, when we have paragraphs, I already mentioned, there are there could be paragraphs written with a lot of jargons in it and all, but they don't want that. If end user has to read all about few paragraphs about the system architecture in order to find out why that where to where do they find the save button, if they have to go through this system architecture before getting to the solution that they want, then it is, very frustrating for them. So where AI plays a role is converting those technical content into simple step-by-step guidance with clear actions. Now, we as technical writers already write, instructions, but how it helps is, with the right prompt, they can have the right information out of it. So for example, create end user documentation for password reset with simple steps to reset the password, common checks, and what to do if the issue continues. Now when we do this, the AI can give us a troubleshooting guide, either a troubleshooting guide or step-by-step instructions in a very user friendly, simple language that end user can understand. So in documentation, there could be like, we have to, now again, you would say it is repetitive. Yes, but it is repetitive. So this is a perfect example. It could be repetitive in a way that, first of all, we have to, there is this operations page in the, so they want to reset a password. So there we have to mention step-by-step clear instructions under operations page, that this is how, you can reset a password. Now again, we need to mention these details in the troubleshooting part, because sometimes, along with the custom support, end users quickly, rather than going to operations, they would go to the troubleshooting part because they want to know, how do I fix that? So, here you see the same issue can be written in two different ways for two different pages. However, the persona is the same. So in troubleshooting, they would just quickly see the issue that they can fix. So there we answer, okay, this is the issue, you can do it this way. Whereas in operations, we can mention steps. So let's now see how do I give this prompt and what does it respond, So it's the same prompt, and now it will mention about how to reset. I have not mentioned here that I want it for the operations page or the troubleshooting part. So it will give us a generic step-by-step clear instructions. And then it also puts some common checks. It can also give some additional information that is useful for technical writers, because we do not have to adapt everything in the technical document, right? Because then otherwise, like, what's the use of technical writers? So of course it is important to know which information to put. The fourth persona is support team. So support team are just looking for providing the solution as fast as possible, right? So for them, for us, it is really important to know that we mention the common failure scenarios, because that's what they are looking for most of the times. And how do they quickly, can, how do they resolve the issues of the customer, how quickly they can do it. So that is all about knowing what this persona would need. And also the pain point, we need to know that most of the times, for the setup document, for example, we consider, then there are moments that, they feel is it broke, like it just broke, but don't know how do I fix it, or how do I give customers, the right solution to fix that. So that is something we have to mention in a very clear way and a quick, no, rather than putting all those additional details, we have to just focus on this, because we are not here showing the product impact. What does the feature do? So AI plays a huge role in converting these feature documents into support run books. So, and if needed, it also gives us the FAQ format for the same. So quickly give an example, create support document for prompt password reset issues, including diagnosis steps, common failure scenarios, escalation path, and quick resolution actions. Now the output would be in the form of a troubleshooting guide. Like I already said, it will first mention, okay, what is the issue? And then it will say, okay, what is the cause? Then it will give us the steps to diagnose it. So the customers, either the end users or the support team, can look into it. And for example, here also I have mentioned, say for example, there is a separate support guide in which we want troubleshooting, where login and password issues are mentioned. Then there, for that, we give a prompt in a way that it gives us all the information. Sometimes when you mention that I want to, put it in on this page, then it can also know, or maybe provide you information in that way. Then of course it is up to you as a technical writer what to keep, what not to keep, because it is really essential to know what is necessary. So that is how it will give us, the quick resolution diagnosis steps and likely causes or the scenarios in which the failure might have happened, maybe because it is because of the credentials which are incorrect, or maybe it's the error, that's there in the backend. So that is really important. Another is stakeholders. So our last persona, which is really important, is stakeholders, as they are the decision makers, because what they want to know is, okay, out of this product, okay, how this product is helpful, why should I adopt this product, or what are the compliances. Most of the times, they want to check, for example, this password reset, let's take in this example. So in that, they want to check if this is compliant with the GDPR, if this feature is, having any potential risks, or is this what is it all about, and what would be the outcome, or if it's affecting, the ROI in any way or not. So they want an executive summary in a way that mentions everything, but not in too much depth, because the technical document is not also about that. It's just a section that we add for stakeholders. So knowing their pain point. For example, if we, on the page, or if we create a section or a page for stakeholders, and we put a lot of feature list into it, that this feature does this, and this all the steps are there, step 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we put amalgamation of everything in it, then the stakeholder will have to read it from the beginning until the point that the stakeholder may reach, where they find the real, or they find the content that really is helpful to them. So we have to make sure of that. And in a way, how does AI supports, or what is the role of AI, is they create a distilled technical document with all those strategic, context, that they can present it in a boardroom ready, like a boardroom ready summaries. So that is really important for us to know how to put the information, or how to give a proper prompt. Now let's say create a stakeholder focused document for password reset issues, covering operational impact, support dependency, user access risk, and the importance of improving password recovery. So again, what will it give us is the output, which with every important detail that is essential for a stakeholder to know, and mitigating or eliminating all those details that are already not beneficial to them, or they are beneficial to the developers. For example, there is 401 error. They don't want to know about what this error is called. They do not want to know about, they don't care about 401 error. They want to know why this error, or how would it affect my product, or is it a persistent error, it is a known issue, it is something that's a temporary bug. So they talk in these languages, right? So now that we know about all the personas and what different kinds of prompts we can give, let's see what are the key takeaways that we can get out of this session. So when you walk out of this session, I think one thing is pretty much what would be pretty clear to all of you would be using AI as helper, as a support system, and not be dependent on it, because AI would give you information or not specific to any persona until and unless you mention about it. So when you combine your prompts, your persona based prompts, with the AI tool that you are using, then you will get a persona ready information out of it for your different personas that you have. Here we have 5 personas, major personas, that we have talked about. So the document can be more clear for that particular persona. So yes, it is all about that. Then of course, writing prompt is not enough, because right now what we are, when I mentioned that, okay, we are not just technical writers in this era, we are actually documentation architecture, we are the content designers. So we decide what would go in the document, and the better we learn also prompting, because if you are working with an AI tool, it is important to know how to prompt, give the right prompt, so the better your prompt would be in the context that you want an output, then definitely the quality of output would be aligning with you, and you don't have to spend hours and hours with your AI tool trying to explain about things. I want like this, I want, no, I'm not talking about this, because AI would give you information may or may not be relevant to you. So that's why we have to give the right prompt for faster and create clearer information that we can put in our documents. In a way, it will also help us go ahead with our documentation really quick. So that is about it. And who can benefit beyond technical writers with this persona based prompting that we have just seen? Content strategists, when we talk about, they can get benefit out of it. Then there are product managers, they can improve their feature communication with the customers. So developer relationships, support teams, customer success, UX writers. So all of this people working in different roles, it is also helpful for them to know what would be the AI prompt and how do they do it. At the end, I would just give you a real world example from my documentation. So the product that I'm working on, so if you see, there is this troubleshooting in first picture, there is this troubleshooting section where I'm talking about the issue and solution in the way that customer support team would understand. In the second screenshot on the right hand side, you see the developer section, which is highlighted, where I'm putting all the information, starting the API document, not just with the endpoints and everything. So first you need to give an overview of that. So you give the overview of that, talk in their language, system logic, syntax, and then you start with the codes, API authentication and all. Then there are the third screenshot in end you see is the release notes. So what I have right now, I have a comprehensive document targeting all personas in one document. So then we have release notes. So release notes are product managers can get benefit out of it, because if they want to send a bug has been fixed, they want to send it to customers, they can quickly take the link, go to that, send the link. So I have written that content from that persona. So it is amalgamation of everything. A documentation never is all about one persona, it is always about multiple persona. And as I said, that AI, you should know the difference between AI that writes and a technical user that uses AI to write. So that is all about it.
And that's a wrap for today's session. Once again, thanks a lot to you for walking us through the topic. I hope the insights shared today gave everyone a clear understanding of how AI can efficiently adapt documentation for different audiences while maintaining accuracy, consistency, and clarity. To everyone who tuned in, thank you for taking the time to be here and for all your great questions and comments. And of course, if you have more questions or wanted to learn more about Document 360, then feel free to reach out. We'll be back soon with another session. Until then, see you next time. Thank you, Rutva, and thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.